talk in there, but what's really going on here? What's really happening in these verses? I think she's suggesting a little afternoon delight here. She's definitely communicating one of her needs. She recognizes that her husband is busy. He's a king. Israel has many responsibilities. There's many people vying for his attention all the time. But what she's saying here is, in all of your busyness, don't forget about me. Guys, your wives need to know that she's a priority to you. She needs to see you making time in your schedule for her. In the opening verse in this passage, we've got the love language of time. If you don't regularly make time for your wife, she's gonna become a nag. Now it sounds awful because it sounds like I'm making myself guilty here. Okay, so if you don't regularly make time for your wife, there's a good chance she's going to become a nag. Daryl and I got blackberries a couple of years ago when I started a new job, and one of the things that we discovered about this is that we can schedule each other. We can send appointments to each other, and it syncs up with our Outlook. So he has to go where I send him, and I have to go where he sends me. And we have found that this has really worked to make sure that we date each other, even after 19 years of marriage, every week. And we have found that those date nights are really good because we spend quality time together, because they are no kids, no schedule discussing, no work discussing, no house business kinds of events. And we stick to those rules pretty strictly.
Well, Solomon picks up in verse 9 and he says, "You are as exciting, my darling, as a mare among Pharaoh's stallions." Now, guys, I don't think calling your wife a horse is going to go over very well today. Definitely not going to sound like a compliment. But let's break it apart here. What he's saying is that when she walks by, he feels like he's in a pen of stallions and a mare is walking by. Stallions are boy horses. A mare is a girl horse. So here,
this really is a 101, isn't it?
Here we've got the love language of words. Husbands, I think we generally think our wives are pretty incredible. The problem is we don't tell them that often enough. And that's something that they need. They need to hear that from us. If you watched the Feist multimedia earlier, you heard that as well. They need to hear it from us. So Solomon here is telling his wife how he feels about her. And he's doing it in two ways. He's doing it in a general way, by using a term of endearment. He's calling her darling. But he's doing it in a specific way as well. He's giving a very specific image. He's basically saying, honey, when you walk by, I feel like I want to hop the fence and run away with you.
Well, I'm not really a horse person, but I'm guessing this worked pretty well for Solomon and his wife. I know this because I've read to the end. I know how this book turns out, and trust me, it works for them. So here's what we pick up from this, though. Guys, your wives need to regularly hear what you think about them. Don't leave them guessing. They need to hear it often, a lot, all the time.
Okay, I'll go on with verses 10 and 11. How lovely are your cheeks, your earrings set them afire. How lovely is your neck, enhanced by a string of jewels. We will make for you earrings of gold and beads of silver. Well, now he's talking the love language of gifts or presents. Now remember from earlier in this series that Solomon's wife grew up a simple peasant girl in the farm country. Her father isn't mentioned, which is very uncharacteristic of the Old Testament, which probably suggests that she was raised in a single-parent home by her mother. And if that were the case, finances would be tight. And we have some indication that finances were tight as well, because earlier in chapter 1, she talks about her skin being darker than the skin of the other ladies. And the reason for that was because she had to work long, hard days in the sunshine. And here we learn that Solomon has filled her neck with strings of jewels, and he's having custom-made earrings built for her, earrings of gold and silver. And if you're the woman here, you're thinking, like, jackpot, right? I went from the farm to the city. I went from poverty to riches. But I think it's not just about the riches. I think that this would have made this girl who had so much experience as a peasant feel precious and loved and valued.
I'm going to pick it up at verse 12. The king is lying on his couch, enchanted by the fragrance of my perfume. My lover is like a sachet of myrrh lying between my breasts.
Okay, I'd like to stop you just there for a second.
Why am I not surprised?
I'm serious.
This thing is really heating up.
Ladies, the section that Barb just read from probably highlights your husband's greatest need. He needs your body. Touch and physical intimacy are very important to men. Without touch and physical intimacy, we can feel unloved. With it, we can feel like our emotion tank is filled to overflowing. Now, this song was written at a time when people didn't take daily showers or baths. And if a woman wanted to smell lovely throughout the day, she would wear a sachet, which is like a small pouch, filled with myrrh, which obviously smelled beautiful. And she would wear it around her neck on a chain, and the sachet would rest between her breasts in a place that was not visible to people. And she's saying that the sachet spent a lot of time there, and she's also suggesting that her husband spent a lot of time there. Now, some Christians are very uncomfortable with this image from the Song of Songs, and so they allegorize it. And one commentator I looked at said that the two breasts represent the two testaments, the Old Testament and the New Testament, and that the sachet represents Christ. Now, I think that's pushing it. We've already established in this series that the book, the Song of Songs, is written about sex as God intended it to be enjoyed in a marriage between a husband and a wife.
Okay, now can I say something now? Or
actually, I have one more thing.
okay.
And this may surprise you even. Now, although the touch that they're talking about in this passage is definitely sexual, in a marriage, touch doesn't always have to be sexual to be meaningful. In fact, why do you get that look on your face? I'm being serious. One of the reasons I married Barb was because holding hands with her did things to me that holding hands with no one else did. And it was because of your hands. I love holding hands with you.
You're gonna make me cry. Well, I'm glad you made the distinction in touch as a love language, the difference between sexual touch, obviously, and non-sexual touch, and how important they both are. I think the mistake that many men make is forgetting about how important that non-sexual touch is for us girls. We girls need that reassurance. We need the security of hand-holding, in public sometimes. We need an arm around the shoulder or waist, a brushed cheek, hair put behind the ears. We need this kind of stuff regularly so that we can be open to greater expressions of intimacy later in the day when you're ready for them. What's that old saying? Maybe you've heard it. If you want to cook a turkey, you've got to preheat the oven first. It's true.
You better read some more.
He is like a bouquet of sweet henna blossoms from the vineyards of En-Gedi.
That's you still.
Oh, just one, right?
Yep.
Okay, just take it down. So here's the En-Gedi image that Daryl opened the talk with this morning. You heard this verse right at the very beginning. The most important thing to take away from today's talk is about how marriage partners can make their homes this En-Gedi for each other. So Daryl's going to pick up in the next section because it's spoken by the king.
Verse 15, how beautiful you are, my darling. How beautiful. Your eyes are like doves. Again, guys, she needs to hear you talk to her. She needs for you to use your words to affirm and compliment her.
You are so handsome, my love, pleasing beyond words. The soft grass is our bed.